After, I don't even know how long, by this point, NetEase Games, the developers behind the upcoming Project Ragnarök MMORPG, have finally released an actual in-game trailer for the game. Now, they have, over the course of, I think it's the last year, released one trailer in total, and that trailer looked very pre-rendered, as in, it made it look as though the game was an in-game trailer, when in reality the entire thing was cinematic and attempted to give the illusion that it was an in-game trailer. Now, I have not seen this trailer. I have been told that it shows in-game footage, so I'm kind of excited to see what the game is going to look like, as I have covered this a few times. The most recent time actually leaving me a little bit disappointed for the game, but we'll go ahead and talk about that after we look at the trailer. Passion of Gamers, the magnificent and dazzling Midgard. Demographics only, not the final product. Now, it's impossible to tell whether or not this is fully in-game because we do not see a UI, but it is definitely worth noting see, that looks pre-rendered. That does not look in-game. I see my name up there, the Peninsula STIX. Okay, see, this looks in-game. This genuinely looks in-game. You can tell the FPS are running at like 8, maybe 10 FPS. But, you know what? That is perfectly fine. If there are FPS issues, we have the opportunity here to remedy them. But, we are actually getting a look at the game, albeit briefly. And I feel like that is better than continuing to show us pre-rendered cinematic cutscenes. And am I the only one here? That's the end of the trailer, by the way. But am I the only one here that feels like, well, this is theoretically taking inspiration from Norse mythology, that this actually kind of has more similarities and more closely resembles Greek mythology? Like, just going back through the trailer, it looks as though these characters genuinely look kind of Greek. Like the things you'd see out of something like Immortals Phoenix Rising, or maybe out of something like Hercules. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Now, what we saw in that trailer were open environmental flying. The game looks like it is going to be entirely open world, and that is promising. I do like when games don't utilize segregated zones. At the same time, I don't have an issue with zones being segregated from one another because it helps keep the load times down on your computer. But at the same time, that might be attributing to the FPS issues that this game is experiencing. Now, maybe by segregating off the world, the game might run a lot better. So this might be something that they ultimately end up looking into, depending on whether or not they can iron out these FPS issues or not. The combat, it looked like, I'm not gonna say the combat looked great because it really didn't look anything groundbreaking, but I guess I should have prefaced this by stating that this is going to be a cross-platform MMORPG. So you do need to understand that this needs to play cross-platform against every major gaming platform there is. And I don't know what specifically this was recorded on, whether it was recorded on a mobile device or a console or on the person's PC, but these FPS issues should not be that difficult to remedy. And again, the combat, it looked decent. I know that there is going to be plenty of modifications made to the combat because we are not in beta testing yet. I mean, heck, we are not even in alpha testing for the game yet. This is the foundation of the game. This is what they are aiming to improve upon while they work towards that final product. Now, if this were what we had available to us during the beta test, then I would tell you that I am a little bit concerned. As an example here, Tower of Fantasy released a version of the game that players were not necessarily all that happy with. So Hottest Studios, they went ahead here and they overhauled the combat, they overhauled the graphical system, and they overhauled the UI entirely. And the game is only going to do better because of that. Tower of Fantasy is as anticipated as it is because A, The studio seems to be willing to adjust the game to appease the players that are going to be playing it, and B, because they are not building the game for one platform exclusively, they seem to be building it for each platform individually, and that is something that Genshin Impact did really well. Now, I'm not certain where necessarily we're going to end up with Project Ragnarok. I know that they did state in an interview, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the video, that they are going to be putting an emphasis on the mobile version of the game initially, which is really disappointing to hear because, as you can see, the game genuinely looks really good. And another game that we were all anticipating, Grand Saga, they put an emphasis on the mobile aspect of that game, and that game turned out to be, while it was not a bad mobile MMORPG, it turned out absolutely trash on PC, and nobody plays it because it was not built for PC players. There are plenty of people that play Genshin Impact on their computers, and I guarantee you there are going to be plenty of people that play Tower of Fantasy on their computers as well. So they are aiming to develop the game mostly for mobile devices, and while this is going to be cross-platform on other platforms, they are merely an afterthought, at least initially. They might put more into developing them if players that use those platforms make it known to them that we want the game more actively developed on the platform of our choice. But regardless, this is the trailer that we got. It showed some in-game footage, and that in-game footage, while it did in fact have some serious FPS issues, shows a lot more than a lot of these companies do when they release these pre-rendered cinematic cutscenes for the game, and I can only give you guys kudos for that. So while it may not have been the greatest trailer, I appreciate that we can see the game in its current form right now, and we can get a gauge for the direction that the game is taking and going to move into the future. So with the knowledge of what we are presented with now, what do you guys think? Do you think that this game is moving in the right direction? Do you think that they need to improve in various different aspects? Let everyone know down in the comment section below, because the developers are definitely going to be paying attention to how this trailer is received by the player base. So your opinions, your feedback might end up getting looked at by the developers themselves, and they might include this information when continuing to develop the game further. So let everyone know down in the comment section below what you want, what you think, and let the developers themselves know. Anyway guys, that is everything I wanted to talk about with regards to Project Ragnarok today. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.